Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Simsol webinar. My name is Nicole Neese. I am the Marketing Director for Simsol. So one of the subjects we get asked a lot about is sketching, which is no wonder is one of the top requests for webinar topics we've had. Simsol is unique in that you can first scope the property, then create the sketch, which can save you a lot of time. During this webinar, we'll be showing you all the tools that are available to create beautiful sketches, as well as share our best practices with you. Now, before we get started, we're going to go through our agenda. First, we're going to do an overview on all the sketching tools. Next, we're going to go into how to use the Quick Sketch tool, and that is used mainly for the exterior of the property. Then we're going into using the Selective Area Tools, which is used to build the interior. Then after that, we're going to talk about how to import areas. So the areas that we're referring to are the ones that you can create before creating the sketch and the actual scoping to be able to put those areas in there. And then we'll end it up with how to print your sketches. And then again, we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, just please leave them until the end. And again, just use the Q&A feature. All right, Danny, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to be turning it over to Danny. Danny is our Director of Training. He's also an adjuster with over 20 years of, actually 25 years of experience. And so he's going to take it from here.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to start sharing my screen. And you should start to see my screen now. So I'm in the Simsol system, I have it highlighted on sketch/diagrams. As you can see, I have all different types of different buildings up there that you can use. What we're going to do is create a new diagram, which is right here. And once it launches, I'm going to go full screen. Now, there's a couple housekeeping things that I always do when I first start my sketch, okay? I know that it's divided up into little different areas on here, and so I'd like to highlight those areas first. All right, so the first thing that I want everybody to learn how to do is going to come right over here in the lower right-hand corner. It's called Scale to Fit. So that means if you drew a line, it would automatically repost back up to the screen, okay? So that's a real important one there. Another thing is our scaling model. We have it by default set to 1 foot. I usually take mine down to 1 inch, so I have a lot more control over the object. Okay, I'll be talking about objects in just a little bit later. On the top left portion of the screen, which is just underneath the Simsol Smart Sketch, is the undo key, and that's a very unique little tool. What that'll do is just erase your last settings, but it will go back about I was told about 21 times. So if I drew the whole sketch, I could actually get that off and start over, which is kind of nice. All right, now on the top there is a couple things I'd like to show you, and with that is going to be the edit portion of it, the edit tools. As you can see, it's all grayed out, and so what happens is these tools will become highlighted as soon as I click on an object. And let me define what an object is. An object is anything on the canvas. So an object can either be moved, resized, edit, or deleted. That's an object, okay? And we're going to be going through that, and it's real easy to do, okay? So that's on your top piece right up here, and we're going to be talking about that. On the left-hand side is called the Tools section. These are the actual the tools that can draw the objects on the canvas. They can be lines. They can be if you just put your little diagrams here. If you just put your mouse on it, we should have a sensitive help on here. Here we have shapes. We have a circle. We have a triangle, a right triangle, and then that would be our Shapes tool. Our tools that we have here is doing text, so don't forget about that. That's the T for text. This one's going to be a polygon, and we also have a line tool that we could use and a text line tool. And I'll be going through those different types of tools. Below that, we have the walls, which we can do the different thicknesses. Either you're going to put a dimension in or not a dimension in, okay? One's an interior, one's an exterior, okay? And I'm going to go through that along with the dimension. The next section is called the area components. These are objects that are placed in, like, for example, putting in an area like a bedroom, a bathroom, and then we can follow it up with either an offset. We can do a pony wall. We could do an opening. Here we have a door and a window. So with all that, then we can actually draw our diagram with those, okay? And then in correlation with, or combination with, the sketch tools, the edit sketch tools, which are right up here. Okay, let's try to do something real quick here. We're going to talk about the various different lines. So I'd like to just take and just show you a simple line. I'm going to left click, and this is important too. You have to click every single time on the object. These are all objects, okay? If we use a special tool called repeat mode, then it remembers your last selection, okay? And it says, I'm in the repeat mode off. So when I click on it, I'm going to draw the line, okay? If you're not very good at drawing the line, there's some other things that we can do. As you can see, it is slightly off. And how do I know that? Is I can come down here to the length of 36 feet 6 inches, but it also tells me the angle. So if I just did this for 0 and then click apply, then it should straighten it out, or 360, either or. So as you can see, now the line is straight, okay? Now with an object, this is an object. As I select it, that highlights it, okay? My edit toolbar my edit bar should come up down here and be displayed. So I can say if I need 37 feet, and then you hit the tab key, and I want to do or select by your mouse 37 5 inches instead of 6. I can then select that and then follow it up with the tab key, address the angle, and then select apply. So it will readjust. You can also use your mouse to do that as well by just clicking on either side of the handle and then moving that around. Remember that I can use my angle tool and then click apply to bring it back to a straight line again, okay? So that is, for example, how to adjust a line. I'm going to left click, the handles are still on here, and I can actually grab a portion of that handle and move it to any direction that I want, okay? The next thing that we have here is going to be if I want to do a polyline, okay? There's my sensitive help, just came in. The polyline, and a polyline is where I can click on various different positions. I'm going to try that again. Now see how I did that? I can use my tool again because I did not push the enter key on it correctly. So as you can see, I can make my design. Okay, and usually what you do is you want to double click on this. So that now is now an object, and look what I can do here. I can then resize it by the corners, stretch it out, elongate it, and then also check this out. Since it has different points, I can then, by the points, resize it to whatever I need. So there's just many different combinations you can use with this shape. The arc. So if you need to make a nice half arc, you can do that in the middle, elongate it, take the corners, reshape it as necessary. Here's a bezier. What a bezier is kind of like an S, just like that. And then I can take my individual points and I can move them as well, okay? So basically the lines that we have are the polyline, the line, the arc, and then the bezier. So those are the various different lines. Remember that if it's an object, I can move, resize, edit, or delete. So if I need to move it, place your mouse right on the line, move it to wherever I need it to be. If I need to move this over here, I can. Move the arc, so that's moving. If I need to resize it, take one of the points. And these are good for doing serpentine concrete waves, which works out real well. On the polyline here, as you can see, anything in the volume, anything on the inside, what I could do here is I could use my edit tools. I don't know if you've been looking at this, but as I select these objects, take a look what's happening up here on our edit toolbar. Okay, so it allows me, for example, if I need to rotate it left or right, I can do so as long as I have it marked. Some of the tools will work, some of them will not. The ones in gray will not, the ones that are highlighted will. Okay, so just look at that when I start to do various different things. I'm going to start to use this edit toolbar on it. Okay, so that'll be our lines and our shapes. If I need to delete it, I can mark it and then hit the delete key on my keyboard, and then that object is gone. So you can see that I have something here. If I want to put some color in here, it makes it kind of nice. Since I have an enclosure from the polyline, let's see if we can put a pattern in, which I can do. And then as you can see how I'm using my edit toolbars, I can pick the line style. But also what I can do is do the pattern as well as the transparency. So that works out really well. Watch this. So if you need to lighten that up a little bit, you can do that. So you can use the transparency along with the pattern on here. Line style, if I need to make it thick or thin, I can do so, and also the line color. Okay. So once I can actually take a roof and actually trace it out and actually make that an object. So I'm going to show you a little bit on that one. Okay, so if I need to erase anything, watch right here, I can do the undo key. Everything that I've done can be erased and start from new. Okay, we also have a redo key up here called and you can use these hot shell keys as well, which is Control Shift Z, and then or Control Z. So if you're used to using hot shell keys, you may do so. Works really well. All right, so let's do the shapes. I've got shapes here. This is just a standard shape. So as you can see, there's a standard square. If I highlight it, it tells me what it is. So if I need to go 15:6, I can select that and then click on apply. It will resize for me. I can also use the rotation tool, or remember what we can do is use our rotation tool from up here. We'll just left, right, and select, and then you just move that down. At any time, if it's off the canvas, in which I would like to show you that right there, if it's off the canvas here, you can always use the scale to fit, and the scale to fit will actually redo this for you and place that on the canvas so you can actually expand it or zoom it in or zoom it out, which is kind of nice. All right, that's your square, and that's good for putting in areas. There's also a circle, so you could use a circle if you need to, or a half dome, which is right here. As you can see, I've got a circle here. If I need to put in, for example, a dimension on that circle or half circle, I can actually click on the horizontal vertical snap. This is a really nice tool because what this does is it guarantees me a straight line, either a vertical or a horizontal line. So if I come over here and I select the tool, which is right here, which is called our dimension line tool, and then just drag it right on over, that gives me what my length is. And I can also go vertically. That'll guarantee me with this little tool on, vertically or horizontally perfect lines. So that comes in handy. Don't forget to turn it off if you are drawing, you know, for example, bay windows or something that will never work. All right. So there's a couple shapes that we have there. Another one that's kind of neat is going to be right here, and it's called the label line tool. What this tells me I can do is I can draw a line, which is right here. I select it, and then I can put whatever text that I want. So if I need exterior wall at 26.6, I can place that in there. So whatever label that you'd like to put on that line, you may do so. Okay, and that is called the label line. Remember, we do have the dimension tool, which we just demonstrated here. And then we also have a polygon tool. So I'd like to show you that. I'm just going to erase this off. Good practice on the undo key. So as I come over here to the polygon, I can select the line. And also just double click on it, and then what that does, as soon as you get all those markings on there, you have created the object. Okay, all the handles, these are called handles. And so when I have that, then what I can do is then I can just resize it as needed. But we demonstrated that. I also can color it and do some other things on this. What would be this tool to be used for is, for example, if I had to do a free draw and I needed to actually make it an object so I could put color on it or something to represent damage, I could use this tool to do so. And we'll do an example on that. Okay. Erase this tool for just a second. And then I'm going to go to walls. Now, if you're drawing just regular walls here and you don't want dimensions, I'm just going to make sure that I have my vertical horizontal snap turned on, and then I can draw it. As you can see, there's no dimension onto it, but I can always use the pointer tool. The pointer tool is one of the most important tools in the drawing program because that marks the object. So if you just come over here and hit the pointer tool, select it, then you're going to see what that length is, and then you can readdress it if you need be. Okay, so don't forget about the pointer tool. All right, next one is going to be the equivalent to that, but it's going to actually draw the dimension on it. So as I draw it, it brings it up, and there's the dimension on it. If I'm going to do, this is concerned more for interior type of walls. If I was doing an exterior type of wall, I could use the exterior wall without dimensions. Now, see what I just did here? I want to show you that. I didn't have focus, or I did not place the component in memory. That's why you receive that. So when I click on this, it's a common error when you first start to draw, and you can see that I now have a very thick blue line. If I need the dimension, do the same thing. So now I have my dimension on here. Okay, so now with that, you're getting the hang of that. We can then come in and do our area components. I'm just going to undo that out to show you how to do the undo here, and then select the area components. Now, when we do the area components, we draw it, and usually what I do is I will draw, try to get in the same ballpark of what the dimensions are. And then I can come up and say, okay, this is going to be a living room. So I hit L, find the living room, select it, and then I can say, well, this one's going to be a 25 by 30. So as I select that, 25 feet, 0 inches, and then for the length, I'm going to use 30 feet, 6 inches. There we go. And then with our angle, I can click on apply. When I do that, it applies it. That's the size of it. Okay. I can also then come up and start shaping my diagram by just coming up and then reselecting this again. And now selecting a new square, and this time this one is going to be a kitchen. So as I select that in there, let's say my kitchen is going to be 25 on my width, but with the length is going to be about 7 foot. So as I put that in, we're 7'6", I click apply. Now, take a look here. I have these X's that are in the corners, and it's hard to see, but I'm moving my mouse around. There's an X in pretty much all the corners. What these are called snap points. Snap points. So what is a snap point? What it is if I just place my mouse and hover it over, I'm going to get a handle. Look. Do you see that hand? So I got an arrow and I got a hand. Once I have the hand, that activates the smart point, and I'm going to then try to move it. But look what's happening here. Anybody have any idea what's happening there? That's because I have the horizontal tool selected. So I turn that off, place it on there, get the hand, and as you can see now, I can snap that right into place. So now you can see how I can take the various different shapes, or the various different shapes on here, place them in with the dimensions, and start piecing out the diagram. So for example, if I needed to add a door, here I have some door components. Select it and place the door over here. So you can see I have a door leading to the outside. If I take my my pointer tool, and it's a good idea to actually start to use the pointer tool on all your objects. But a lot of people, what they do is they see what they need to do is they just left click on it, which will also activate it. But it's a good idea to use your pointer tool every time. So now that I have that, take a look, that's activated. And so I have a 5-foot door. But let's say that this is an 8-foot slider. I can type in 8, click on apply, and then it will redraw. I can then just remove it. Now, if I had this at the look at this drawing here, I've got it at 1 foot. I lose my control. It's only going to go to the nearest 1 foot. So I want to keep it to the nearest 1 inch, and then that way I have a lot more control over it. So I can actually put it into whatever area that I need. Okay, if I need to put in some windows, I can simply put in windows. So as you can see, I can put the windows in there and just move it right where it has to go. I can then come up and then put in another area. So I select the area. Let's say that this is going to be a living room. I can hit the L to take us right up to the L's. Select living room and then come up, and what you can do is you can then use your snap point right there and then join that together, and then from that then you can resize it as needed. What happens when you have a kitchen and now see, I have this one here which says living room, but it's not really saying that. I need to come up and reselect that, select the down arrow and find the living room, and now reapply it, and it should come up. There it is, right there. So if I need to make this an opening here, and this is what happens all the time. Let's say I have a cased opening, let's say a 10-foot case. Then what I could do here is I can come up and then I can select one of the area components called opening, and then place it where I want it to be, select it, and then I can come down here and put in 10 foot and then select apply. When I do that, then I can just move it into place wherever it needs to be. If you need to actually take your diagram that you're doing here and expand it a little bit, you can always do scale to fit. So as I do that, as you can see, I would have to readjust that in, so I can do that. See how I did that here? Just like that. If I need to add an entrance door, I can certainly use my door. And then from that, I can then resize it. Real easy to do. If you make a mistake, all you have to do is hit the undo key and select the tool again and redo it. It's that easy. So as I click on that, I can then redo that. What happens if I need to add an area here that's in this configuration? So for example, if I come up here like this, I select it, and let's say that I'm going to be doing a garage, okay, off from there. As you can see, I have 2 living rooms here. Let's make this a garage. Excuse me. There we go. Okay, so I can make that into a garage, and let's say that this one is going to be a bedroom that comes out from there. So I can come up and select this, call it bedroom. Let's say that it's a 15 by 15.57 by, let's go 17.6 on the length. So what's going to happen is when I click apply here, it's going to go off the grid. All you need to do is turn up and go to scale to fit. From the scale to fit, it redoes it, and it's nice and easy. All I need to do is use that snap point, and then it puts it into place. So it makes it nice and easy to do. If I need to add my door for the garage door opening, I can select it, and I can easily come up and say it's 16 foot and click apply. I can then move it over. So that's kind of the easy way of making up a diagram. This is just using the standard components, okay? Now Simsol has a lot of other things that we can do, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit done, and what done does is it posts this diagram to the file that's named right up here. By the way, you can name your sketch whatever it is, so I can just say this is the Jones sketch, or whatever name that you would like to do that. So when I click on done, it's going to post that name and that shape. Okay. I'm going to do a new diagram. So once I get a new diagram here, I'm going to do full screen. And then from that, always go over to 1 inch is usually what I do. Make sure you know where the scale to fit is. You're ready to go. There's an operation called quick sketch. Quick sketch. And what quick sketch does is it's a real fast way to put the perimeter of the walls in, and then you can actually come in and shape that with your area components like what we just did and fill it out very easily. So for example, let's try to do this one. Okay, so I'm going to do it is real simple. Let's just call this quick sketch example. I'm going to name the sketch quick sketch. Okay, now that I have named it, I'm going to have focus on the sketch. So I left click inside this canvas. It's now ready to do it. Now watch where I'm going to do to activate this component. It is the one with the square with the pencil on it. It's right next to the word of the name of the sketch. So I'm using quick sketch, so I'm left clicking on it, and as you can see, my cursor now has changed. It's now in a different configuration, and I'm going to left click on this to activate it. Now this is going to go away, but this is going to anchor it to that point on the sketch. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to left click, and that activates the quick sketch. All right, so you can see that quick sketch is on right now. I'm going to take my mouse. I'm now going to put in the dimensions of this. So I'm going to put in, for example, 27. Now, I've typed in 27, as you can see down there on the length. I now need to give it a direction. I'm going to find the arrow, the right arrow on my keyboard, the right arrow on my keyboard. So as I do that, you can see that the line is drawn. If I make a mistake, hit the undo key and then redo it again. So if I needed 27.6, I could hit the undo key. Quick sketch is still active, and I'm going to type in 27. And the same way that you use for putting in areas for dimensions in your scope of damage, I'm going to hit the space bar and then follow it up with the numeral 6. Once I have that there, I'm then going to hit the arrow of travel. So I'm going to hit the right arrow. As you can see, 27.6 came up. This is a pretty quick way because I can then come down to about 20 feet down. And so I can now go from 20 feet, and then I can go and then select my areas. Now, you can divide this up if you want. The little trick is if your kitchen is, or your entryway, sorry, is about 8 foot in width, I can just come up in here, hit 8, and then select the arrow travel. Then let's say that bedroom number 1, it goes into bedroom number 1 on the exterior wall, and that can be 14 feet. So as I put the dimension in, it segments it out, so I could say, okay, my entrance starts at 8, and then I'm going to go to 14. Now, from here, I can go down to, for example, 17.9, 17 space 9. So as you can see, I'm putting it in and then hitting my down arrow. And if I want to continue that on, I can then put in, for example, 6. So what I'm doing is I'm piecing it out, and then I'm going to come up here for maybe an inward wall of, let's say, 8, and I'm going to come over here to a 6, which is here. I'm then going to come down to 14, or I'm sorry, 10, and then making my way down. So as I go through my quick sketch, I can then come up and then select the items that I want. So if I want to come over to about 4, and then select down to 10, and now put in 19, and another 10. Now, as I do this, and I'm almost done with my drawing here, what I could do is I could hit the A key on my keyboard. So when I click the A key, it's going to go right from the bottom of the coordinate, bottom of the Y coordinate, and it's going to go to the X coordinate. So if you had a slightly thing on your a slight jog on your wall, it'll just automatically, you know, do that. Now, if you need to modify this, you can take your mouse and stop the quick sketch. When you hit the A, it automatically stops the quick sketch, and I can reselect it, and then I can actually take this bottom piece here and then actually move it over, or delete it. It's easier just to delete it, is what it is, what I do. And then I can actually take this bottom piece here and move it in. So then I can continue on. So maybe I might have had a fireplace that I had to account for and I didn't do it. I can then bring it up. So I'm going to use my tool to bring it up here to whatever the line item is. I mean, whatever the dimension is, excuse me. And you just want to get that right in there. And what I usually do is I would just use my horizontal tool that works really well. And so I'm just going to come in a little bit. Now, I did not use the repeat mode on, so let's try to use that one. See the repeat mode on? I can then come up and then select it. And then as I come up here and I do this, I do not need to do the tool again, because repeat mode will remember it. So now I have a fireplace right here. Okay, so this is what we have. Now what I can do here is, once I have the shell created from the quick sketch, I can then work on the interior lines. So for example, if I have an entry here, let's say that I want to come down, I could use my tool here, select it, and let's say it is a 8 foot, excuse me, be let's use our vertical snap. Works out real well that way. Bring it down and then move it over. Now I still have repeat mode on, so this should still work off from here, and which it does. So once I have that, I can then come up and then select my entry door. Remember, I'm going to hit this off for a little bit because my repeat mode is on. Now it's off. Reselect, and then there's my entry door. So I can make my, elaborate shapes along with by using my various different tools. So I use the quick sketch to get the perimeter. Once I get the perimeter, now I can start then coming in and then selecting. So for example here, if I've got 20 foot here, and this is actually, let's say that this is a utility tool. I'm kind of making this up here. So let's say that I want to draw an interior line across here, and as you walk in, this is going to be my utility area, and this will be my garage. So to identify it as such, I could take my text tool. I can then come up here and select it. Type in the garage, and then reuse my font. Now I'm using the tools up here now to make it 12 foot, 14 foot, and you can put whatever font that you want. If I need to bold it, I can do so. If I need to underline it, I can select it, or I can italicize it, which I can do. Okay, so as I do that, I can select it and move it anywhere that I want. Okay, let's say that this is a 2-story, and what I could do is actually make an actual sketch of the first floor, and then I can just copy it and put it into a second floor using the load from library tool, which is kind of cool. Okay, but here I've got the garage. Select my door. And then build up. So then put my door in from the entry. So as you can see, I can start to build this all up. If I need to put the windows in, a lot of people like to put the windows in right after they do that. Now, as you can see, I have that horizontally, okay, and it's not going to work. I can use my tool, the white pointer tool, the arrow tool, select it. I can rotate it here, or I can then move it into place by using the rotation tool. Let me show you a trick for windows. So as I have these vertical windows that I have to place around, so if it's the same window or I want to just pick the window, I can then select it and then select copy, which is right up here. And now the paste option is visible. Since it's in memory, I can select the paste, which is going to give me another one, and I just use my move tool. Hit the paste again and move these windows into position. Makes it nice and easy. So just use your paste tool to do that operation. So I'm just keeping on hitting the paste and then filling these windows out. I think you're getting the idea on it. I'm going to try to put a double window in here because this is more like a bedroom with a bathroom right here. So with that in being, I can place all my windows in here as needed. Okay, and then this might be my utility area. Okay, this might be my kitchen area, which I can create. All right, so now that I have my quick sketch in here, want to show you a couple tools that could actually work for you. See, like for example here, if I need to know that whole wall here, I could just take my dimension tool and then just be right there on the spot there and just draw that line, and then you can see that you can then put it in. So you can segment these lines, you know, for the various different rooms if you wish, and then use that long dimension line to get the whole line of the exterior wall. So that works out pretty good. So you might want to try that. Okay. Another thing that we can do, like I said before, is the area components, and then I can select it. Okay. And then as you can see, I can just snap it together. Okay. Comes up here. Now I want to show you a little trick here. Let's say that I have this bedroom here. It's 14 by 18. Let's say it's a master bedroom. I can then come up and select master bedroom. Let's say if we have or I can do a direct input. So watch this. So instead of trying to pick it from there, I'll just type in master bedroom. And once I have that, I'm going to then select apply and then take it. But as you can see that the master bedroom is overlapping the exterior wall and we have the window there. There's a little simple tool that you could do is right click on the object, and then you can change the font or edit the text, bring front or send to back. In this case, I'm going to send to back. So as I do that, it will then show the window on top with the wall, and so it looks better. So let me do that again. Right click, you're going to go send to back. Okay. So that's what happens if you overlap different objects together. You can actually send one as in front or one in the rear. Okay. So as I do that, I can then place in the door in there for the entry. Show you a little trick here. Instead of hitting it one time, which will give me a horizontal door, if I just hold my mouse, left click, and then move it down, it is going to draw a vertical doorway, as you can see right there. Okay. All right. Going to do another one real quick here. And this would be, for example, this could be a hall bath, 8 foot by 6 foot 10. I can then send it to the back. And if you want, since this is a corner and that's a corner, you can then use your snap. And that's how easy it is. Okay. So you can make it as elaborate as you want or as easy as you want. It's up to you on how you'd like to present your diagrams on here. Another thing is what I like to do is, for example, I could use this offset, place it, and then, for example, this might be the tub offset or a shower offset. So as I do that, I can then come up and then select this, and that could be my offset for my shower. Okay, as you can see, it's right up against the window. If it's not causing any issue, you don't have to send it to the back. All right, so that's, we can put the door in. And place it in there. Okay, so you can just finish off your diagram doing that. What I would like to show you, though, is another component. All right, when I come up here, I'm going to select Done. And I'm going to do a new diagram. And when I do the new diagram here, now the way this works, let me give you a little pre-introduction with this one here. I'm going to go into the scope of damage. And on the scope of damage, these are these areas. And what this is we're going to be drawing these shapes. So I'm going to go into the edit mode. And you're going to see the actual shape of this master bedroom. You're gonna create it because these are you put in 19 by 6 by 8. Then you can put the offset in the door. So as you see, when you enabled Area Smart Sketch and Printing, it activates this module, and then you can see that I have my 2 doors, I have my little offset, and then my entry. Now, what the goal is to do is to place all these shapes from the kitchen, dining, master bathroom, and master closet and see how fast I can do a sketch. Let's take a look and see. So you get the idea. We need to master the various different shapes. Like, for example, here, if I go to my offset, and off my offset, it's 15/6 from the top bottom. So if I moved this to 13, what happens when I did that? Look, see how it moved it up? So what you need to do is make sure when you measure the room, the adjusters need to be accurate on measuring whatever the doorway openings are or closets and what wall it's on. So that's an important one. So I'm just going to move this back to 15/6. So as I select it, it puts it down right on the entrance in the corner, and it automatically puts that in there. So as I click on done, I can go to the next one, go to edit. So as you make this up and you're scoping the room, you can then enable this and make sure it's correct, and watch what happens when I take these areas and place them on the sketch and see what happens. So as you can see, I have my closet in here. I've got my entrance door off the great room. All right, and I'm going to select done. Now I'm going to go to my sketch. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to activate the sketch/diagram. Full screen. And I'm going to use a component that's going to be called import areas. Import areas. So since you did all the hard work of setting those door openings up and the offsets attributed to that area, I'm going to left click on this. I've got two of them, one for APS and one for the internal repairs. I'm not going to use this one. I can just select the areas that I want. So if I had 10 to 15 areas in there and I only wanted to use these, I could use those or select all. So as I select that and I click on done, those areas now are on the canvas. So let's see what happens when I start to move these into and put them together like a one big giant jigsaw puzzle. So as you can see, I'm placing these over using Smart Snap. So now I've got that complete. See how fast that was? So now, remember that if you make a mistake, you can just use your undo key. And I'm going to do a scale to fit. So now you can see that I've got some entry halls. And remember that we can highlight these objects and either send them to the back or to the front. So I've got the areas in there. Okay, I'm just looking at the different sketch here. And so as you can see, I've got that in there. Now, I like to pretty it up off here. So if I took the time to do this, what I can do is I can add to it. So for example, I'm going to do an overlay, and I can come up here and then I can select, I'm going to turn my vertical snap on, and then I can actually do this. I can either use the dimension line, which is here, and do it that way. Or what I could do is I could trace it with the exterior wall. So you can take it right here to this opening if you want to do that. And then if I use the repeat mode on, I can actually pretty this sketch up. Now it doesn't look so pretty right now. Let me go back there again and try that again. There we go. I have to click the tool. I thought I had repeat mode on. There we go. And I'm selecting the tool. So as I select it and then draw it up. So I do have that ability. So I can just use my resizing tool and move that up. So I can pretty this up pretty easy just by selecting that. Okay, so my repeat mode is on, so I should be able to draw this. If you make a mistake, you can use the undo key. My repeat mode is on. And I'll just keep outlining, make a mistake, reselect. So one thing nice about the undo key, it's wonderful because you can bring it back to the previous state, and then you can then select your object. So works really well. So as you can see, I've got that outlined right there. Now, what you might want to do is you can mark these lines and then select those to the back. So as you draw your thick line on here, I could use my control key, and you're going to, but the repeat mode's on, excuse me, now it wants to work. There we go. And what I do, I'm going to hold my, keep the repeat mode off, and I'm going to left click on this line. I'm using the control key. It's not wanting, what I wanted to do is send this to the back, which is real easy. Right click, send to back. So basically what you're doing here is, if I got my windows here, just right click, send to back. As you can see now, it exposes my windows a little bit nicer, but I still get that blue background, which is kind of nice. Okay, so that's called the import areas on the sketch. And then what you could do is you can use your other line tools to actually make that look really nice. So I'm just going to mark this and select one of the line tools and move that off, and then hit delete. So a couple ways you can really make really nice diagrams off from there. Okay. Right now we have some questions. It's almost at the top of the hour, and so see if we have any questions or Q&A on the system. Go ahead. Yeah, John said that he'd like to see. Did you already do that one? Okay. Yes, I can do a bay window if you'd like to see that. I know. So, for example, if we want to do a bay window or some type of odd shape that you want to do, you can do that. So, for example, here's an opening here. I'm just going to take that in. I can then use my tool to do this, because if I come up here and I can select this interior wall, I'm going to take the smart sketch or smart vertical snap away here. What I could do is I can draw a line. So that's how I can do a bay portion of a window that way. So what I'm going to just resize this here real quick, draw a line, and I can make it either, see how I have on this angle here, I can actually move it to whatever I want. But watch this. If I take my object, which is the right arrow pointer tool, select it. If I come down here, I see the angle here, I can make that to, for example, a 45. And then change my 45, and change that and select apply. So as I do that, there's my 45. I can then come up and then select another tool here to come up. I can turn that on to whatever the bay is, and then now connect it down this way by just holding the point. I'm going to reselect. There we go. And I'm now going to come down and draw it this way here. Now, if you need a certain angle that you need to do, you can simply come up, select that with the pointer tool, and then you can see that I'm using 328 or there. Or what I can do is I can use, if you take a look down here, 315 is a perfect 45 on that. So if I need a 315, I can do that. Okay. So that's how I can do a bay window or odd shapes if you have to do an angle. But usually what, if you need it done on certain angles, you could do that. Or you can freestyle by simply just taking your pointer tool and then joining it up. I would have to delete that first and redo that, excuse me. So as I do that and select it. Okay, so that's how you can do that type of odd shaped one. I would like to show you how to do stairs real quick. I use a square, and then for example, if my stairway is this way and my landing's here, I'll draw the landing first like this, and then if my stairs come up this way, I can do it. Make another square like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pattern tool, which is here. So with that pattern tool, oops, correction, I want to use the pattern tool. Got to mark it first. Once I have it, select the pattern. And there's my step. Another thing is if I have to go this way now, I can then come up and select square like this. Make sure I have it selected, make sure I have the right width. Once I do that, I select it and give it the pattern. Now this time on the pattern, I'm going to use that design here. So the way I did that is two ways that I can go. It just depends on the direction. When you first click on this, click on the pattern, and it's going to be just the solid line. Okay, that's going to give you this, and it'll fill it in for you. On this type of on the horizontal type of stairs, select it, use your pattern, and then select the vertical lines, and that's what you're going to get. So that's how you can do stairways pretty easily. Okay, so you just use a combination of the rectangle and the pattern. Okay, so that's how you could do that one. What I'm going to do now is going to show you how to print. So with that, I'm going to come up and select done. You have to post this. So I'm going to select done, and once I do that, that's going to be the sketch that we're going to print. I can click on print, go to sketch. It should be at here at the bottom. I have all different types of sketches in here. Once I select it, I can do a printer preview. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so it looks like a very nice professional sketch on there. Works really well. All right. Mr. Mathis has been helping you with the questions on here on how to use the quick sketch on it. remember that it will print on out. I want to show you some different types of sketches that I have put in to just give you some type of addition to it. So I'm clicking on here on this first one. So basically, I have to have a pattern. As you can see, this is an object, which is here. I can then select the fill color and then make that fill color in there to represent whatever damage that you want. Let's say that this was damaged by flood. This might be damaged by wind. I mean, and then you can put whatever pattern that you want on it. Okay. We also have some other types of sketches. Just what you can do. Let me just bring some up here. If you are a roofer, or if you're a wind adjuster, excuse me, you can bring up sketches like this for a standard hip with the garage. Maybe this is damaged by hail. Real easy to do. You make a square, and then you would use your triangle and then measure this off. Makes it nice and easy. Here we have the garage here. So if I have this and I need to actually show damage on that, I can simply come over here and give it a different color if I need to. All right, see if we have any questions and answers. I guess that all the questions have been answered. I would like to thank you very much for participating in this. No. We had one question, excuse me, that can you import a sky measure diagram into the system? You can, but not with the diagramming tool. What you'll do is you'll just go in and put it in as an attachment, okay? And how you do that is you'll come over here to attachment on whatever the sky measure is. Let me just bring in that real quick if you want to see that real quick, if everybody can handle it. I'm going to come right over here to the scope of damage, and then I'm going to go to roof. And then from roof, I'm going to go to third-party input, and I can either do an eagle view or a sky view. I'm going to come up here and see if I have one for eagle view on my dimensions and see if I have anything listed off of here from, yes, we have an eagle view sample. Double left click. There's my XML. And there's all my shapes, okay? So then I can then run my shapes on that. I can import that in, but it would be a square on it. But it would be easier to take the diagram that's produced by the third-party import, which would be Eagle View. And what I would do here is once I ran my estimate on there, I'd bring it in. Sorry? I'm so sorry. I was just informed that my screen was not sharing. So basically, I can go to my attached documents, select the new attached document here, and go to my desktop. And on the desktop, I will find the Eagle View sample, and then whatever the diagram is on that. As you can see, I have one right there. And I also have one for Eagle View on the property owner report, which is the whole thing. So as I select it, you'll then have the dimension sketch on here. There you go, right there. So you can use third-party imports of diagrams into your system as long as it's in a PDF format, okay? Mathis, do we have any other questions? Yes, any diagram that's in any image in a PDF format you can import. So for example, if I'd like to use this attached document and hopefully this is the diagram that I have in here. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's the same thing. Then you can then just import it into your system. Okay, and that's from a third party, or if you have a PDF of a pre-existing diagram, so you don't have to draw it. You could use that instead of drawing it from the diagram portion on it. Is there any other questions I can answer for you? I would, on the calculate of the area, what I would do is I could just go right to scope of damage and let the computer do it by simply coming up here, putting in the dimensions as you see here. And I do have the sketch on this. If you take a look back here, it automatically places that in. There's my floor square foot. I can add that to it. Presently, we do not, when we do a square, it does not do a calculation for floor square foot at this time, but you can add it. So if I had 313 for this image here, which is the master bedroom, I could come up and then go into the sketch and then add that 313. Come over here to the sketch, select it there, and then find it, double click on it. And then from this, I could just use my text tool based upon what the dimensions say off from the computer and put 313 square foot if I needed to add that. Just like that. Any questions? Any other questions? All right, I would like to thank you so much for your time. You just have to, the diagramming program is you just have to work it. You have to play with it. Try to take different shapes, move it, resize it, edit, and then delete it. That would be my best advice for you. If you have any other questions, or you need to get in contact with us and you have a quick question on how to use the diagrammer, you can call technical support at 1-800-447-4676. Direct extension is 520. That's my personal extension, but the technical support will be option number 1. Option number 1 will get you technical support. We would be glad to help you out with any of your questions regarding sketching and using the diagram tool. Once again, I'd like to thank you for your time.